Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. We're back again with a match preview. The international break is finally over, and we've been put out of our misery. Today, we have two super fans with us in Shaumil and Anirudh, and we are here to preview the Newcastle game. So let's get straight into it. Anirudh, let me come to you first. And let's face it, we lost 6-1 against Tottenham Hotspur. I know it feels like a long time ago because the international break was in the middle, but how do you think psychologically we're feeling? Are we going to carry the scars from that game into the coming game? Or you think it's we've brushed it off? And do you think the international break has come at the worst possible time for us? Because we should have gone on and straight away played our next game, or it's come at a decent time for us?
That's actually a good question. I remember Ole was saying post-match that it's kind of a bad time for the international break to come in because when you have losses like this, you generally tend to want to stick together as a group, start training immediately, go back to the drawing board immediately, which is a chance that Ole hasn't had and that the players haven't had either. And then when they've gone off to represent their countries, it's been topsy-turvy. It's been some teams have had really good, some players have had really good form and some haven't. So yeah, I think it's come at a very bad time for us. I feel like we haven't properly recovered psychologically from that defeat, and Newcastle is a very dangerous opponent. Pretty much anything
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah. I think I agree with you that, the international break came at a very bad time. Normally, it would have been nice to have those Carabao Cups right now. I would have just quickly gone into a Carabao Cup game, got the win, and then moved on to the Premier League game. But now the players have sort of had 2 weeks to think about it. But Shomil, let me come to you here and see, psychology is one aspect of it. But on the pitch, the team has not looked good per se in terms of like individual errors, and also tactically there have been a lot of flaws. We've done a few videos pointing them out. The pundits have been saying that. So Shamil, what do you think the biggest mistakes have been in terms of the tactical setup and the poor form? What has led to it?
The biggest mistake is us playing off on the back. We are horrible. We can't do it. Ever since the game when Sheffield Speed from lockdown, we've been horrible. We can't play off on the back. We always get caught out. And the worst part is we have two right-footed centre backs. Now one of them is left-footed. So when the right-footed centre back is on the left-foot centre back side, he can't do anything because he's a right foot. So he needs one place to pass the ball. So the striker just press us. Our centre back just pass over back to Daya, and we just chip the ball up. It's a whole waste. And the worst part is our man marking. Van Bissaka and Luke Shaw have been caught out so many times. It's just been 3 games, and they've been caught out probably like 10 times. Van Bissaka was exposed against Brighton probably 5 times by their attacking players. They were behind him, ahead him. He couldn't man mark anyone. Defensively, we are all over the place. Tactically, even there, I think Ole needs to find a way to play Bruno and Pogba together. They just don't look playing together well. They just don't gel well. I don't know what, but he needs to find some way to play them together properly because that's what great matches do. That's what amazing matches do. Like, for example, Klopp, he came in and he told Firmino, listen, you're a good striker, but Mane and Salah are amazing. I need them to score goals. So he was going to pass the ball to them. And he said, hey, and he took that on the chest. He said, yeah, sure. Okay, I won't score goals. I'll let them score goals. So there's like that. I think he needs to find a way, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to tell Pogba, Bruno, that, you has to find something to bring the best out of them. I don't know what he has to do, but he needs to find the best out of them somehow. And that's what we are lacking. I think tactically and defensively, I think at the moment we are scattered like all over the place. Even attacking wise, we aren't the best. Martial, our top striker, is out for 3 games now with a red card. He has not had a single shot on target. Could you believe it? Our number 9 with 0 shots on target. 3 games gone. So we are all over the place at the moment. So it's the whole mess. The
Right.
whole team, tactically, team, everything. Manager as well.
So Priyan, you've heard Shaumil sort of lay out some very valid points in terms of our defensive errors, in terms of our attacking returns have also not been that great. And overall, there isn't that confidence there was since restart happened. And you've also heard Anirudh talk about, the psychological issues. So what lineup, Priyan, do you think will be going in with this game? Because after the previous game, there were huge calls for Maguire's head and for Luke Shaw's head and for Pogba's head, and Martial is anyway not there. So Priyan, what do you think Ole is going to put out? Who do you think starts this game?
I honestly don't think Ole is that courageous to sort of bench Luke Shaw and put Telles in straight away. He's not going to do that. So I think our backline isn't going to change. Maybe Lindelof comes back in for Bai, but otherwise I don't see the backline changing. I don't think he has the balls to drop Pogba also. He has, although Pogba has been, I've never seen him play so badly. The 3 games that I've seen him play, I've never seen him perform worse than this ever. I think we need to get in. I think Dan James will play because he's the only replacement Ole feels we have in our front line. And I think
So
Rashford
who
or
plays
Greenwood could
strike
play
for you?
striker. I would want to see Greenwood play striker and
Right.
Dan James on the right. But um, I think we've discussed this before. Dan James is much better on the left, and I wouldn't mind seeing Rashford moving to the striker position and Dan James coming to the left.
Right. Anirudh, what is your take on this? Do you see Alex Telles coming straight away into the team? And do you think Paul Pogba should be dropped for a Fred or even Donny van de Beek? Do you think that is a possibility? Because Bruno Fernandes yet seems uncertain. It seems like he's going to play, but he might not play because of the quarantine rules. So what would you do? Would you bring van de Beek in for Pogba? And would you get Telles in for Shaw?
Absolutely, I think I would. If it was my call, I would 100% bring Telles in for Shaw. Shaw's lacking form. He's lacking confidence. He's been in and out of the England squad, so his confidence has really taken a hit now. And Telles is like one of those signings that we desperately needed. He's a first team quality player, and he goes straight into our starting 11. That's what I think. That being said, defense has been a major issue, like Shaumil said as well. We need someone to freshen things up to make it seem like there's a competition going on and that people need to display their absolute best levels of performance in order to stay in a United backline. And I think Telles brings that to the team. When it comes to midfield, I think Pogba should be dropped at least for a little while. For the same reason, I need him to understand. I mean, we need him to understand that there is competition for those places. And Van de Beek still hasn't settled properly. Sure, he had a good performance for a few 10 minutes or so in the Carabao Cup, but it's not really been enough to find his feet. So I think he should get some game time. This is a bit of a controversial take, but I think Mata should play against Newcastle. I've been a big fan of his game style. I understand that he's slow, but we're never going to beat Newcastle on pace. That's not the game we want to play on that flank, especially the right. I mean, because Alan Maximan's going to play on that flank. We're never going to beat him on pace. So there's no point approaching it that way. Instead, if we're going to beat their regimented flank system, we can at least have someone who's smart who can pass the ball into channels. And I feel like Mata could have a good game if we sort of restructure that midfield a little bit. So maybe
Right.
not Fred or Donny van de Beek, but probably Mata in for Pogba.
But Anirudh, you've raised an interesting point that we aren't going to beat Newcastle on pace, and we have to play through channels. But my follow-up question to you is that don't you think Aaron Wan-Bissaka will need some defensive help with the
Exactly.
speed of Saint Max?
Yeah, absolutely will. Which is why I think Ole should, again, controversial. Some people will disagree, but I think he should stick with Bai instead of Lindelof because at least Bai does that dirty cleanup work at the back that Lindelof just doesn't do. He doesn't. Sometimes he just gives up, and you can't give up against players like Alan Maximan or indeed the Longstaff brothers who will turn up for one game a season against United and then just leave for the rest of the season. So we just can't let our concentrations drop. And I
Right.
feel like in
And
that metric alone, I feel Bai would be better than Lindelof.
right. So you'd start with Mata. So now the question is, would you move Greenwood to the center, or would you move are you moving Greenwood as a striker? Then I assume that is the assumption here.
So our front three is pretty much fluid anyway. People keep moving in and out of their positions. Rashford and Greenwood often switch sides. So maybe start with Greenwood up top and Rashford on the left, and then see whatever feels comfortable. Maybe they need a change of pace or break from their running around, so they could probably switch between striker.
Right. That makes sense. I am not completely sold on Mata because I understand that we're not going to beat them on pace. While I do love Mata, I feel that a Dan James or a Mason Greenwood on that wing will be needed to cover Aaron Wan-Bissaka in terms of defense as well. And Mata, of course, does not have the legs to do that. But fair point taken. Shaumil, I want to ask you. Do you see the same formation? Do you think we might play a 3-5-2 in the absence of Martial, and that would allow us to play both Shaw and Telles maybe, and that would shore up the defense a little bit as well? And I have another question for you again in the defense because you spoke about it. What Harry Maguire is going through a confidence crisis. Would you drop him to rebuild his confidence, or would you tell him, you are our best centre back, you are our captain, go in there, throw him in the kitchen, and come deliver the goods for us? What strategy would you use?
Well, I personally I want to drop Harry Maguire because forget about what happened last game against England, the red card. ever since the 3 games he's played, he's been poor. All the 3 games he's played has been poor. So I think he needs to be dropped. I think let's go with Lindros and Bai. I think they both complement each other, Lindros and Bai, because Bai is a quick player. He can do, just like Anirudh said, he can do dirty work and clean up work. He can go fast, slide tackle and get the ball for you. And Lindros is a smart player. He plays it smartly. So they both will complement each other. So I would personally drop Harry Maguire. And the thing about formation change, I wouldn't change the formation up too much. I think I'll just keep it the same because, like I said, I don't think Tell is going to start. I don't think Ole is going to start Telles right away. I don't think that's going to happen. And Ole is a huge fan of Shaw. Let's not forget that. Ole really likes Shaw. He always plays him. So Shaw is definitely going to play. I think we'll have the same formation. The only thing I want to see in the formation, which I really, really want to see, is Pogba move in attacking role. Because if we remember, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came as an interim manager and Pogba was playing in the attacking role, he had the most goals and most assists for us, and he was a midfielder. So if he can play, that's what I'm saying. If you want to way to a Pogba in an attacking role with Bruno, and then have also strength at the back with defense, just imagine how good we'll be as a football team. We'll be amazing. Because if you see all the game against France last night, Pogba game for 16 minutes, and he changed the whole dynamic of the game. Threw one ball up top against Portugal, he was doing carving those sweet runs. Because when he runs, because he's 6'3", he's 6'3", and he can run past anyone. He's so strong. So if you can make Pogba an attacking role, that'd be amazing to see. And I think I would because Greenwood has actually played all his youth life since I think under 18s, under 16s as a centre forward. He's a striker. So I want to see him there. I think Dan James and Rashford probably could play. I think maybe Rashford could move to the right and Dan James to the left. Or maybe even bring in Lingard or Mata. But yeah, I think I will stick with Greenwood up top, Rashford probably on the right, and then we can bring Dan James on the left because Rashford can play anywhere. He's good enough for both the wings.
Shaumil, interesting point you raised about dropping Maguire. That is one way to go about it. I again personally believe that Maguire should play because I think his confidence has taken a massive hit, and I feel that the only way he regains that, I think if we drop him now, rather than him looking at it as a sign, take a little time off and come back, it might work in a really negative way for him. But again, the opposite works as well. My only question to you is, if you play Pogba in an attacking role, so does that mean you drop Bruno to Pogba's role, or do you play with two center attacking mids with Matic with the single pivot?
What I was thinking is, why can't we play them all? Yeah, but I want to see Bruno actually move a bit. I think if we can play all three of them, like Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Pogba on the left, Bruno on the right, and Matic as CDM. Pogba and Bruno attack together, but they also have to fall back and defend together. So they all will, how Madrid work with
Right.
Modric, 17, Modric, Casemiro, and Cruz. They all three
Right.
attack together, defend together. That's why even if you see Casemiro had a lot of assists for Ronaldo, Bale, Benzema, because he used to cross those balls in and they used to head it in. So if they can attack together, defend together, hold that line of a midfield, that'll be amazing to see. Because then you can see Pogba, Bruno attack together, as well as Pogba, Bruno, Matic defend together. That'll be fun to see.
And I remember in the
Right.
Madrid
Point
17
taken.
team, wasn't it a flat midfield three like Modric, Kroos, and
Yeah.
Casemiro? I remember the 2010 to
For
12
flat
Barcelona, it was what you were describing, where Busquets was playing that deep lying CDM role, and then whoever Fabregas and Iniesta and Xavi, whoever were pushing forward with that. That was basically.
Yeah. I understand that working, but if you look at the work rates of Casemiro and Busquets, they are far above and beyond the work rate of someone like Nemanja Matic. Nemanja Matic does
Or
not have
Pogba.
the legs. We have to
Or
face
Pogba.
it.
Or Pogba.
Oh, that's true, Priyan. Why don't you come in and what do you think about what Shaumil and Anirudh have said? And more than that, I also want to ask you, how do you think we're going to handle this newfound threat Newcastle have? They've got an Andy Carroll and Callum Wilson, so they've got two proper goal scorers. They've got this lad in Hendrick who knows how to cross a ball. So how do you think we'll handle this threat, and what do you think of the lineups they've put out?
This is our United's. This is the weakness. A striker like Callum Wilson and Andy Carroll, these who can bully our defenders. A winger like Alan Saint Maxim. I mean, it's written that United are going to, our defense is going to be troubled throughout the game. It's confirmed. This I can tell you from now. I mean, I don't know how Newcastle will turn up. I know it's going to be a tough game for our defenders for sure. Coming back to what Shaumil and Anirudh said, I think playing Pogba and Bruno both in an advanced role is, I think it's good on paper, but like you said, I think it's not going to work because we compared them with Madrid won 3 Champions League titles in a row with the golden generation of Barca. I think it's nowhere close to that. Like, not even think about it.
We are shipping 3 goals to Palace.
Yeah, 3 goals to Palace. Our best defender has been our goalpost, so it's not going to work out.
Right. Shaumil, Priyan is quite negative about this game. He thinks Newcastle's attack is going to have us in sixes and sevens. Do you agree with him? Do you think Callum Wilson is that big of a threat with Aldi Carroll? Because our problem, like Priyan has said, is heading the ball. We just don't head the ball. And if you, according to you, if you don't start Harry Maguire, Lindelof does not head the ball. So then we're totally reliant on a Bailly who's basically walking on thin ice with a red card every time he makes a tackle.
Well, if Andy Carroll starts, then I think you should start Maguire because I think he's the only guy who can fight him in the air. I think that's the only guy. But Callum Wilson, if you see the way they've scored against Burnley, Saint Maxima runs through the wing and then crosses the ball in, and then Callum Wilson, he's a poacher. He gets the ball, he'll kick it in, and he'll score. I don't think Callum Wilson is that good of a header of the ball. I think definitely if Andy Carroll starts, then yeah, we should start Harry Maguire because they can have the aerial duel. But if the Callum Wilson, him in itself is not that big of a threat. I think Saint Maxima is a bigger threat than Callum Wilson because he's just so skillful, and then he even runs on the middle sometimes. He actually plays on the wing, but he comes in the middle and scores goals here for you and all. So Van Bissaka will be a big game for him. But I think it'll be a good one because Van Bissaka does really well against opponents who play 1-on-1 against him because he was able to all this time bully Sterling. So I think he can do well against Saint Maxima. I hope he does well against Saint Maxima.
Right. Anirudh, just finally coming to you now. I want to get some predictions out of you. What do you think the scoreline is going to be? We've spoken about United's defense being weak. Obviously, even Newcastle's defense is not the best in the world. What do you think the scoreline is going to be, and which United player do you think is going to be the one to watch out for this game?
I think it's going to be tight and it's going to be ugly. So the goals might just be scrappy because our forwards, I mean, Martial's out and Callum Wilson's he's a poacher kind of a striker. Optimist in me says 2-1 United. And I think it'll be Bruno coming out and showing us a few of his, why we signed him in January. I feel like he's the one who's going to run the show.
Right. Priyan, what about you? What's your prediction for this game?
I think I agree with 2-1 United. And as for man of the match, I'm crying out for Rashford to finally just step up now. He needs to show that he is a senior player in the team now. He's 23, but he's been here for a long time and he just has to step up. He's been out of form for way too long.
Right. Shaumil, finally coming to you, who do you think is going to be our main player and what's the scoreline?
Scoreline, I think I'll be a bit optimistic. I'll go 3-1. I think we'll hopefully bounce back from the battering we got by Tottenham, and the striker, our attackers will get us a goal. I really want Pogba to run the show because he's my favorite. But yeah, let's hope. I hope Pogba does it. But I think it is going to be Rashford. I think he's going to step up this time.
Right. So I actually agree with Shaumil's scoreline. I think it will be 3-1 to Man United. And I'm going to go actually for the player to watch out. I'm going to go for Mason Greenwood. I think if he plays in the striker's role, I'm seeing that he can bag a couple of goals come Saturday. So let's see, guys. You've heard it from us. You've heard it from Shaumil and you've heard it from Anirudh. They've broken down what to expect very well. They've presented quite varying teams with some interesting options. Priyan, of course, has sort of been the realist or the pessimist among out of us looking at United's form. But let us know what you all think in the comments. Let us know how you think this game is going to pan out. And like the video and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you all soon with some more content. Thanks for watching, guys.